Joel Fritz. I am the chair of Elyria Board of Zoning Appeals. It is Thursday, July 1st, 2021. We are doing this via Zoom, as everybody heard. And I will tell you that before we get started, I would like, if everybody wants to and agrees to do this by Zoom, that would be great. If you do not want to do this by Zoom, you can have your case continued until our next meeting. I have a little thing about we've done this probably for over a year now. And the other thing is that we have, let's see, who do we have here? Are we missing anybody? Is Mr. Golden's here? Okay.
Everybody's here but Hal.
Everybody's here. So we do not have a full contingent of our board. There is one missing. If you want to have your case heard by the entire board, you also may have your case continued until we have our entire board. Or you can elect to go forward again today, but you live with our decision. The decision may be different if we have a full board. I don't know that. So we might as well get started. It is about 3-4 minutes after 3 p.m. here today. And at this point, I will ask is Mary around? I didn't see her.
Joel, no, she is absent. She is on vacation.
Then Daryl, I'll ask you to call the order if you would.
All right, thank you. Joel Fritz.
I am present.
Timothy Golden.
I'm present.
Harold Minnick.
He's excused.
Karen Mobert.
Present.
Julian Sadowski.
Present.
Great. Did everybody get a chance to get the minutes of our June 3rd meeting?
Yes.
Okay, at this time, the chair will entertain a motion on the approval of our June 3rd meeting.
I'll make that.
We approve the minutes from June 3rd.
And I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes of June 3rd. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Is it possible to maybe not have our agenda up? And it seems like we can see everybody a little bit. That's great. I appreciate that.
So do I.
I don't know that we necessarily need that. And I know that Ms. Hopkins appreciates that as well.
I do.
Kathy, has everybody been sworn by any chance?
Not yet.
Okay.
Okay,
Well-
so I think it's Mr. Stevens, Mr. Tomlin, if you both want to raise your right hands, I'll swear
And
you
if-
in.
And if there's anybody else that's going to speak for you folks, they'll need to be sworn in as well.
Okay.
Oh, you gotta raise your hand, Wally.
Do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the following matter shall be the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Mike?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Mr. Stevens, did you say, I saw you nodding your head.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I've got him.
Okay, so here's what our format is. We're going to call your case. We're going to ask you to present why you would like to have a variance for your case. After that, we will ask the building inspector to present the city's position. And then if there are any proponents or opponents, they can voice their opinions as well. And then after that, there can be some questions and discussion by any of the board members, after which we will take a vote on your case. Seeing as there is no old business, we're going to start with our new business, case number 2021-14, Mr. and Mrs. Mike, is that Thoman? Is that how you pronounce it?
It's Toman.
Thoman, I apologize. That's 1195 East River Street, Ohio 44035. Requesting a variance from section 1144.03 of the Elyria Codified Ordinances, permitted accessory uses. The proposed garage is to be located in the side yard. The code states that any accessory structure other than signs and fences shall be located in the rear yard. Mr. Toman, would you like to present your case to us, sir?
I'm going to have our contractor, Wally Christian, speak because he can talk to you from a construction standpoint why we chose to do this the way we did.
You really better put him under oath.
Oh, he raised his hand. We're good.
I'm good.
Okay, we're having just a little bit of trouble with your feed. So hopefully we may have to stop you. If it gets garbled, you may have to speak again, okay?
Okay.
So could we put Mr. Christensen on the video? Is
He's
that
there.
possible?
He is right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
He's at my house.
okay, but I don't see him.
I do.
Him right
I see him. Yeah, he's here.
He's here.
All right.
He has a yellow shirt on.
Wave your hand, Walt.
Oh, I thought that was Mr.
There you are.
I thought that was Mr. Toman. I don't.
No,
I've never
no,
met
no.
him. I just know the name is notorious. I've just never met you. So.
So
And it's only because Jim Taylor told me
so
that.
is the person.
Uh,
Mr. Toman, if he's staying for dinner, look out.
I can imagine.
We bought hot dogs. We're good.
All right. All right, Mr. Christensen, go ahead and
Well, we've got the garage position on the lot because of the configuration of these lots sloping to the river as much as they do. If we move it back toward the river, toward the rear yard, we're going to have a construction problem, with foundation and declining slope. So we're trying to keep this on the most level part of the property as we can. And we designed the garage to look more like a house. We don't have any garage doors facing the street, which, a lot of people don't like. That's the first thing you see is a garage door when you pull up. The garage is going to be landscaped, going to have shake shingles on it, shutters, windows. It's going to be a nice looking building. And as far as devaluing anybody's property, I don't think that's a problem because this is getting close to $100,000 project here with the concrete in the garage and dressing it up. And then, of course, the longer we wait, the more the price of wood goes up, but that doesn't have anything to do with this really. But it's just the most logical place on the property to put the garage, and we've left plenty room on the north side to get access behind the garage or to the river. And then we're going to pour new concrete between the house and the new garage so that you can make an easy turn into the garage doors. Moving this thing back over the hill would just turn into a major project, which would be undue cost to the homeowner. So basically, that's why we have this position the way that it is.
okay.
I mean, we could attach it to the house, but I think that would detract from the appearance of the garage also.
Does anybody else want to speak? Do the Tomans want to speak, or is everybody satisfied with what Mr. Christensen has just told us?
Has everybody seen a copy of Wally's diagram of how the building is going to look?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you can see what he's talking about. It's going to look like a house from the front. The garage doors will face to the south of the structure. So it'll actually face our house. And there will be two doors. One will be a 2-car garage door and the other one will be a 1-car garage door with like a door to get into the building in the front. There will be.
It's not in the front of the house. The man door is on the side.
The main door's on the side, but it's towards the front of the structure. There will be a bathroom with a shower in there. We plan to have a refrigerator in there, and we plan to have a day bed in there in the event that a family member is spending the night and they want a place to stay. It'll be easily converted over for them so they can spend the night. The building will be heated as well.
I was gonna say what time's the party, but
But maybe October the way we're going.
okay. Anything else you want us to know?
I think the plans, I've tried to include everything that was necessary for the building department. I even supplied them with engineering data on the beams and the trusses and all that, which really don't have anything to do with the variance.
Yeah. Okay.
And our current lot we have a sprinkler system, we have nice landscaping, and that structure will also have those features.
Julianne, could you say that again? I couldn't tell who was speaking there.
This is
Wasn't me.
Tobin Patty.
Oh, who?
Our current lot, it's a square, looks like a square city lot in front of our home, which is right next door. It has a sprinkler system in the yard. We have nice landscaping. It's all well maintained. And that garage building, the part that faces the front, will also have sod put down and sprinkler system and nice landscaping and window boxes. It's gonna look very presentable.
Okay,
I
very
just
good.
have one question. How far back does the house and the new garage will sit?
How back, how far?
From the road or from the sidewalk?
The road.
Hold on.
It's on the site plan. It's
I spoke 37 feet.
37 feet,
How much?
To 37 to the property line, Jim.
Okay,
right.
okay.
That it, Jim?
Yeah, I was looking at the map where I saw this 283. That's where I got a little
Okay.
confused. Okay.
All right, Mr. Farkas, how about the city's position, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess a point of order and correction. The notice sent out quotes section 114403. It should be 114403A. This is in fact going to be constructed on a vacant lot. The home was recently demolished earlier in the year. This is adjacent to the proponent's home. And as history has proven, these vacant lots have been notorious for lot combination requests. That is one point of order I want to correct. And second is I just heard in conversation that this unit accessory structure may be utilized for visitors sleeping. That opens a Pandora's box in the building code that was not reviewed and ultimately would be denied due to multiple requirements of the building code for smoke alarms, egress windows, egress doors. So food for thought, if that is the intent, we're going to probably reset the button vault and treat it as if it were almost a house.
Let me stop you there. I was under the impression that the lots were joined and it is one lot. Am I not correct?
I
That is
have received
correct.
nothing. I have received nothing to that fact.
This has been done.
I dropped off
months.
papers myself on June,
Daryl,
Monday.
Daryl,
15th.
it's in the package from the map from the county. They were hooked. We can get the deed to confirm that, but Tom Simon did the combination.
That's correct.
5, 6.
That's it? Yeah, I don't have that. I don't know if Mary never got it, but
It's in the packet, Daryl.
Yeah, it's in the packet. That's what led me to believe that they'd already combined the lots.
okay, if that's the case, then we shift back to the being in the side yard, which if that's the case, we're under the 114403 under the accessory use comments shall be in the rear yard. So that
Gotcha.
would be the point. This must have taken place when I was on vacation. So that's probably where the loophole is.
Wally, Daryl is correct. If you use that as living quarters, you're gonna have all kinds of issues.
Well,
We don't have to.
We don't have to. That's how it was originally designed, but we don't have to.
You were doing real good till you uttered those comments from the background. I went, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Got my attention. Yeah, you're
The
Well,
main reason for the bathroom is because when I'm outside doing yard work, it's just to have a place where I don't have to take the dirt up into my home.
understood. I'm not opposed to the facility there. Many detached garages have that for people working in there. It's when it gets converted to something other than an accessory use and now becomes a living dwelling area.
that's not the intent.
No, we have no intention of renting this out
No,
whatsoever.
no, you
That's
put a
what
body in there to sleep, you have changed the animal from garage to dwelling unit. And I'm just
No,
playing.
there's 3 bedrooms in our home and our daughters always sleep over here, so.
Okay. So did I misunderstand a previous comment that it's going to be used as a day area for people to stay?
Not if it's going to cause,
If we have to go through another meeting, then there will not be a day bed in there. That will
Oh,
not.
it would be a
That will
complete.
solve
disaster.
your.
So for the record, there
All right, hold
will
on,
be no
folks.
sleeping in this building.
okay,
Right.
Thank you.
For the record, yes.
For the
Yeah,
record,
we're fine with that. Yeah,
Okay.
we're fine with that.
So moving forward, this property is zoned residential medium density district, the requirements of which are found in the Elyria Codified Ordinance, Chapter 1144. The codified ordinance requires that any sub-use, such as an accessory structure, garage, shed, fences, etc., be located in the rear yard. Fences do have an exception. They can be in the front and side, contingent they meet height requirements. We have received, this office, several phone calls for the record, and I have received an email and a letter as far as proponent versus opponent. Joel, for your knowledge, I don't know if Mr. Oates is on the line.
I am here.
Would you like to speak, please, in regards to your comments?
Oh, I was just, I am in full approval of this. I am the next door resident. And I am okay with the plans they have going forward with this. And the way they've designed it and everything is something I will have to look at every day. And I am fully on board with what they're doing.
Okay.
Mr. Oates, will that be, are you the neighbor to the side where the garage, the property, or where the garage will be built, or on the other side?
I am on the garage side, yes.
Okay.
I am 1185.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Farkas?
Yes, sir. I received an email from a Herbert Lance. Is he on the Zoom meeting?
He is not, and he's the next door neighbor to Mike, who just spoke.
Okay, I have his email. If with your permission, Mr. President, I'll read it verbatim.
You may.
Okay, attention, Mr. Farkas, zoning administrator, Board of Zoning Appeals, case number 2021-14. Concerning appeal by Mr. and Mrs. Tomlin of 1195 East River. His notes are this: for someone who has lived in our home for 38 years, I wish to voice my support of the request for variance. Our house is 2 doors away from the proposed new garage. The design of this new high-end garage at the proposed property improves and is a well fit of the nicely fits into the neighborhood and will increase the property values for everyone. Having the opportunity to locate the garage in the side yard rather than blocking the river view with the structure in the rear yard is something most of us with river lots could only wish for. With the current residents of the proposed garage now sharing the same parcel placement, this should eliminate any doubt for future issues. I consider this new construction a positive addition for our neighborhood. Thank you for your consideration.
Very good.
Then I have one opponent that wrote a letter, and I don't know if Mike Keys is available. Is he on?
I'll turn the air off.
No,
Is it-
he is not.
Is that
Yeah,
Peas, P-E-A-S?
Keys, like car keys. With your permission, Mr. President, I'll read his letter verbatim.
Certainly.
To the City of Elyria Board of Zoning Appeals. My wife, Ellen Keys, is the owner of the record of property at 1190 East River Street, Elyria, Ohio. The property is almost directly across the street on East River 1195. The owners of 1195 have requested a variance from the city zoning code to permit construction of a detached structure in line with a single-family residence on either side of the proposed structure. The appeal filed with the board calls this structure a garage. My wife and I believe that the new neighborhood would be negatively impacted if this request were approved. The codified ordinance of the city are intended to, in part, maintain high-quality areas within the city to preserve the existing residential neighborhoods characterized by single household residences. In addition to the charter of the City of Elyria in creating the Board of Zoning Appeal provides that the board to approve exceptions to the zoning requirements states, as may be required to afford justice and to avoid unreasonable hardship. It does not appear to my wife or that I, inquiring regarding the property owners 1195 to comply with the city zoning code, nor would it be unjust or unreasonable. The detached structure desired by Tommins can be built in the rear. The residents on both sides of the subject property have garages in their rear yard. The Tommins can do the same with their proposed structure. Thank you for considering the best interest in the entire neighborhood in your decision-making process. End of note.
Thank you.
That's all I have. You're welcome.
Okay. Well, is there anybody else that wants to speak, either proponent or opponent, regarding this particular matter? And it's case number 2021-14.
The only thing I would like to add is the two gentlemen that spoke on behalf of our project know what this project is going to look like, and I believe have seen some of the diagrams of the structure, so they know what it looks like. Unless the city sent a copy of the diagram to Mike Keys, he has never stopped by my house, never spoken to me about this, and has never seen a copy of what the diagram is or the proposed structure is going to look like. So he may be assuming we're going to have garage doors in the front and it's going to look like a detached garage, when in fact, that's not even close to what the structure is going to look like. So he may be sending you this based on a preconceived notion of what the project is, but will not be.
Mr. Chairman, I can speak to that.
Please do.
Right before Mary's departure on the vacation, the gentleman did stop in and asked to see a copy of the files, and in effect was Mr. Keys. And he told the secretarial staff, I will be writing a letter and I am opposed, and he gave his address. So he did see the project.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, board, let's go through our factors. First factor, whether any special conditions or circumstances exist which are peculiar to the land or structure involved and which are not applicable generally to other lands or structures in the same zoning district. The only thing that I heard was something about the slope of the rear yard. I don't know that I heard anything related to whether or not it would be untenable to put a garage behind the house versus the property or where they want to locate that property. Anybody else want to chime in on that? And that's just for the board here, folks. This is what we're doing now. Any other board members on this factor?
I actually have a question about it. Mr. Tillman, is there an existing garage on the property?
On the lot that is in question right now, no, there's no structure on that lot right now whatsoever.
You have one on your property.
That is correct. It's a two-car garage.
This is one property now, folks. This is not two properties.
Right.
It is, but what was originally 1195 had a two-car garage behind the house.
And
It's still there, and we have no intentions of pulling that down, I might add.
So there's going to be two garages on that side, on the
Yeah.
side yard?
Yeah, Joel, that's a good.
No, one behind the house and one to the property that we made one property, but it would be the lot to the north of our existing lot.
All right, so the house now, the dwelling where you live, there is a garage behind that house.
That is correct.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And that's a functional garage where you use it for your vehicles?
That's correct. We own 4 vehicles and it's a two-car garage.
Mr. Chairman, may I
Yes.
have a moment? That was not indicated on the site plan provided.
It is too. It's on page 4. I'm looking right at it.
I have page 4. And
Well,
this
there's
is
an
what I
ex-
have, Walt. This is what I have. Where's that garage you're talking about that's there?
I can't see that.
Yeah, that's all I can do
Let
for
me
you.
see.
It's right there, right behind the house.
Yeah, it's.
On the house that was
Says
torn down.
1195.
Yeah, it says existing
porch
detached garage.
And a house and a
Right.
garage right behind it.
Yep.
But the new structure is right next to it, guys. We're here.
The new structure is 25 feet away from the property.
1195 is the site we're talking about. 1191 was the house is tore down. There's no garage on that property, correct?
That's the new one they want to build.
That's
Oh,
what I
there's
want to make
nothing on
sure.
that property.
Okay, I think we're just address flipped, so no worries. If that's the
Oh,
case,
okay.
we're okay.
All right. So answering question 1, I would say at this point, I don't believe that there's really any special circumstances or conditions that exist. I've not heard any. Anybody agree with that or disagree?
Agree.
I agree.
Okay. Number 2, whether the property in question will yield a reasonable return or whether there can be any beneficial use of the property without the variance. Again, people believe that there will be a reasonable return. We haven't heard any professional come in and say, yes, that will raise the property value. And is there any beneficial use of that property without the variance? Well, I mean, they combined a lot, so I imagine you could say that, yes, there's still a beneficial use even without the variance. Does everybody agree?
I agree.
Thank you. 3, whether the variance is substantial and is the minimum necessary to make possible the reasonable use of the land or structures. I would say that the answer to that is no. I mean, the variance maybe is substantial, but is it the minimum to make it possible for use of the land otherwise? I would say no. Everybody agree?
I agree.
I agree.
Number 4, whether the essential character of the neighborhood would be substantially altered or whether adjoining properties would suffer substantial detriment as a result of the variance. Well, we've heard a little bit of both. We've heard a couple of people that believe that it would not suffer and that it actually would be beneficial to that neighborhood. We've also heard from one opponent who believes that that would not be beneficial to the neighborhood. Does everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
All right.
I agree.
Number 5, whether the variance would adversely affect the delivery of governmental services such as water, sewer, and trash pickup. I believe that the answer to that would be no. We haven't heard anything. I don't believe that any of the governmental services would be altered or hurt because of that. Everybody agree?
Yes.
I agree.
Whether the property owner purchased the property with knowledge of the zoning restrictions. The answer was that they did not have the knowledge. Most people don't even think about that when they purchase property. So I believe that the answer to that is no. Everybody agree?
Yeah.
All right.
Agree.
7, whether special conditions or circumstances exist as a result of the actions of the owner. I don't believe that the owners, there was any actions. So I don't believe that there's any special circumstances that exist because of any of their actions or inactions. Everybody agree?
Yes.
Yes.
Number 8, whether the property owner's predicament feasibly can be obviated through some method other than a variance. I would venture to say that either adding on to the garage behind or tearing that down and adding a bigger garage behind the lot would be just as easy to do as putting a new structure on the side lot. Does everybody agree with that?
Yes.
I'm going to disagree with that because right next to the garage right
Sir,
now.
we're
is a
not, this
deck.
is not, this
Wait a
isn't
minute.
for you at this point. This is just the board, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Joel,
Yes.
unfortunately, I froze at my end, so I believe the question was, is there any other way that could be done? Was that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And and your response was what?
My response is that it would, again, the question is whether the property owner's predicament feasibly can be obviated through a different method. And I would say, you could add on to the garage behind the structure, the home, the dwelling, or tear it down and make a bigger garage. So
Right.
I don't know. That would be my answer to that.
Okay. And I agree with what you're saying, and there is other ways of getting around this.
Sure. Number 9, whether the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement would be observed and substantial justice done by granting the variance. It would seem to me that the intent behind the zoning was to not have those kinds of structures on side yards. This is not a corner lot. That would be my answer to that particular question. Anybody want to chime in on that?
I agree.
Okay. Number 10, whether the granting of the variance requested will confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied by these regulations to other land structures or buildings in the same districts. I don't recall us overtly making any or denying any variance such as this in that area. However, I would believe that this would confer some special privilege, as it doesn't appear that there's any other lots on this street or whatever that have had that same variance granted. Does everybody agree with that?
Yes.
I agree.
And then number 11, the variance sought is the minimum, which will afford relief to the applicant. it would seem to me that they've at least tried to do the minimum, do the best they could, given the circumstances, trying to make it look nice. It's, it looks like it would be a beautiful structure. So I don't think that, I believe that it was the minimum, at least from their point of view. Does everybody agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
agree.
All right. Does any board members have any other questions for anybody?
No.
I do. In your rear of your yard, Mr. Tolman, do you have a deep slope down to the river, or is it a gradual, I guess, height of river?
Maybe a grade, is that what you're talking about, a
Grade,
grade?
good term.
But it's a steady drop down all the way, but it's not like a cliff.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there any, because I know in some of those areas, they require flood.
Oh, no. We're on high ground. We have
Okay,
no
that
flood.
was where I was going. Okay, thank you.
Now, there is one thing I did want to add, and I don't know if Wally put it in the diagram or not, but right to the west of the existing two-car garage is a wood deck that extends further west towards the river. And we built that originally that way because there are 5 evergreen trees in the yard that are probably about 60 to 70 feet tall. And they were Christmas trees. This house that I live in was built by my grandparents. I'm the second owner of the house. The house was built in 1926. I moved in either 1977 or 1978. So those big evergreen trees might be a problem if we tried to change the configuration and add a bigger garage. And they were Christmas trees when my uncle and my mother were small children at this house. And we try to preserve those, and they're still on the lot, but they're very large trees, very tall. The lot where we purchased has very few trees going all the way down to the river, but I will tell you that once you get past the corner of our house, the slope on the lot dramatically becomes more pronounced. From the beginning of our lot, from the beginning of where this outbuilding has been positioned to the back, there's about a 2-foot drop from top to bottom. To take this back another 20 or 30 feet would make a difference of about 20 to 30 feet in elevation.
Yeah, you're getting out over the slope if you move this to the backyard. I mean, it's pretty much in line with the existing garage that's behind the house. But once you get past the back of that, where the deck is, there is a dramatic drop in elevation. So to move this thing back or try to tear that down and build something it's gonna cost a fortune. I mean, you're gonna have a huge foundation just to start the rear of the garage, which I think is unfair to put that cost on the homeowner.
Okay, anybody else have any questions? All right, then at this time, the chair will entertain a motion on case number 2021-14. Do I hear a motion one way or the other on case number 2021-14?
I recommend as legal counsel, you make the motion one way or the other, because we have to have a decision.
Right.
We can say it died for lack of a motion, but.
Right, that's what I'm getting at.
Really be an up or a down.
So,
Mr. Chairman,
yes,
I'll make the motion to disapprove the variance 2021-14.
It's been moved that we deny case number 2021-14. Do I hear a second? It's out of the ordinary, but I will second that motion. So it's been moved and seconded that we deny case number 2021-14. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Do we have any opposers? Okay, the motion is carried and the request is denied.
Were they all 4 no's? I could not hear Julianne or Karen.
Yeah, Karen, I didn't hear Karen.
I said aye.
Yeah, I'm in the middle. I see both sides to
you
it.
can't
I
be.
guess.
Gotta vote.
You
I
can't
know.
be.
I
You
know
either
it.
have to be in favor or oppose our motion.
Well, I feel it could be a positive for value to a property. I see the downsides too. That's my challenge. But
All right, so we're gonna put you as opposed. The motion still carries 3-1, and the motion is denied. Thank you, everyone, for participating. We're gonna move on to case number 20.
We have one more question.
I'm
What
sorry.
if we were to attach a garage to the? Are we done here?
I think you'd have to bring that up with the Mr. Farkas and the city. This isn't the time to deal with that issue. Okay. I don't mean to offend, but we have to move along.
Well, I'm just saying, we probably don't need a variance then if we do that.
I can't speak on that because you were kind of garbling up, so I don't even know the question. But frankly, that would be something for another time. Okay. Okay, let's move on to case number 2021-15, Paul Stevens, 331 Harvard Avenue, Elyria, Ohio, 44035, requesting a variance from section 1175.03 of the Elyria Codified Ordinance parking. The proposed parking area.
I'm asking if we attach.
Excuse me, folks, we've done with your case, if you're gonna stay, that's fine, but you need to put the volume on mute so we can go forward with our hearing and our agenda. Thank you. They're requesting a variance for parking. The proposed parking area is to be located in the front yard. The code states that no off-street parking spaces shall be located within any required front yard on any lot except on an approved driveway leading to a side or rear yard parking space. Is Mr. Stevens here and ready to participate?
I am here.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Would you please present your case to the board?
Sure. So I, back this last October of 2020, I purchased 331 Harvard as a investment property. It's a duplex. And I inherited the tenants that were there and just renewed just basically kept their leases, just had them sign with me. And when I bought the property, actually, I think the first time I ever met the tenants, the lower tenant was parked in the spot that we're talking about right now. And the other tenants that have 2 vehicles were parked in the back, and that was their understanding that they had amongst themselves. And so I, had no idea, obviously, that there was any kind of issue or anything with that. And I was made aware by the neighbor that he was upset about them parking there. It was rutting up the grass there, making it muddy at the bottom of the driveway. And I talked to the neighbor and said I would try to do something about it. This was in the middle of winter when we ended up talking. Then I ended up receiving the violation in the mail about no parking in the grass. And so I basically brought a plan up to the city, kind of detailing why I wanted to make that a parking spot. And there was a couple issues with it. And I basically my case with it is the one tenant who had been parking there currently. She says she's been there for 3 years and she's always parked there and it's never been an issue until this year. This is the first time it's ever been an issue. And ever since, I actually wish I would have maybe made this part of my packet, but I've just been getting, ever since I've forced them to move to the back, there's been all sorts of like texts I'm getting all the time. I'm blocked in. I can't get a hold of her. Can you please? I need to get to work, or I'm trying to get home from work and there's someone in the driveway. I'm just having all these issues that weren't an issue for the, October, November, December, all the way up through till this happened. The back driveway area, as you can see from my diagram, if you have it right in front of you, it's a 2-car garage. So both units have 2 bedrooms. Right now, there's only 3 vehicles, 3 different drivers there. Realistically, there could be more, if it's a husband and a wife and like a teenage kid or whatever, whatever scenario, I would say at least 4 cars is not unrealistic for 2 different units with 2 bedrooms each. So it's just going to be problematic, in my opinion. And so my thought is the pictures I sent with it, the spot that we're looking at. In my view, looking at it, the grass almost looks a little out of place. It's almost like the driveway looks like it continues all the way back, and then there's just this little jot out of grass next to the sidewalk. I don't think it would be visually unappealing at all just to either asphalt that or do something that would be approved by the city. So yeah, I guess those are my main concerns. I think if I had to, the other issue is there used to be on-street parking on that street. There's no on-street parking now. So basically, as it stands right now, they can't even have guests parked there. They have to park a block away and walk over. There's blocking in issues all the time with the tenants as things are right now. And I believe that devalues it. Like if I had a future tenant come to me and say, hey, I'd like to rent this place. I'm like, okay, well, you can only have 1 vehicle, so you can't have a roommate. And if you ever want anyone over, they have to park a block away and walk here in the middle of January. I think that would be like, oh, never mind, I'll look elsewhere then. So I don't know, with all these factors and the things I've looked into it, I feel like it's a reasonable request. Yeah, that's basically it.
Thank you. Anybody else that you have here, Mr. Stevens, that wants to speak with regard to your request?
I don't have anyone here with me. In my packet that I sent, I went to a few of the neighbors and asked them if they had any issues, showed them my plans. I think you have that there in your packet there. It's like the last page.
Yep.
I don't know if you contacted them or not, but
all adjacent property owners get contacted.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right.
So that's basically, it's just me.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Farkas, City.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The current site is zoned.
I am actually an adjacent property owner.
Oh, I'm sorry. What is your name, sir?
Michael. I live at 327
Michael what, sir?
Troglin.
Okay. If you want to speak, you're going to have to be sworn in, sir.
That's fine.
Okay, you want to raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the following matter shall be the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just concerned on putting any type of parking in the front yard. I don't see a need for that. I feel like it might depreciate my property value. I live in my home. I'm not trying to rent it out. There are several other rental properties on the street that have the same sort of setup. They don't have this issue at all. Actually, it wasn't even an issue until Mr. Stevens acquired the upstairs tenants. Well, actually, they moved in right before he had purchased the property. But the previous tenants that lived out there was no issue like this. I've had my house for almost 3 years.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to add?
It's not a a block walk away from the next street where you can park. It's about 5 houses.
Thank you. Mr. Farkas, city.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The current site is zoned a residential 2-household district, the requirements of which can be found in the Elyria Codified Ordinance, Chapter 1148. Chapter 1148 defers to off-street parking and loading in Section 1148.10, which refers to 1175.03. 1175.03 requires that any street parking be on an approved dust-free surface. This originally was brought to our attention via a complaint from a concerned citizen. We had a complaint of vehicles parking in the mud, straddling the existing driveway and the approach walk that leads to the front door. If the board can look at the photos provided by the proponent where there's a telephone pole that says no parking, that's a great shot of at some time the stone was added. Of course, that didn't go through review because we would not have approved that. Secondly, you can see how it's rutting and damaging the city right away, going across a public sidewalk, and looking at the sandstone condition is probably going to start cracking that as well. As the intent of the code is to make it safe, we're going to have, in theory, a double parking space. We're going to have one on, if the board approves it, half on the existing asphalt or concrete, and straddling, if this is approved, this guy has to pour concrete instead of the gravel. He has to get rid of that. And this area. And it could create a line of sight issue for vehicles backing out. If this vehicle was parked on the space that we're discussing, as the people coming out from the back garage or backing out, they won't be able to see past this car if it's parked. We've had that kind of conversation before with line of sight and concerns for pedestrian and public traffic. So I just wanted to point that out, that if this is established, it will set a precedence.
And I just have 2 questions for you, Mr. Farkas. First one, you had mentioned that, the encroaching on the city right away and then over the sidewalk, which are sand, it appears to be sandstone in this area, that would be cracking. First question, how is that any different than the sandstone that they're driving over on the driveway? So that's the first question.
The first question, just looking at the photo, it looks like the sidewalks are concrete, but the approach walk is sandstone.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, and you can see that's already in pretty bad shape.
Oh, and what you're saying is there's parking on the encroach.
Yeah, there's. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
All right, thank you. And then the second one is, how is it? And this may be a stupid question. How is this any different than widening a driveway over at the spot that we had all those problems with until the city took care of that?
Approved paved surface, and also it goes into load requirements. This sandstone was not intended to park a car on it.
Understood.
They're cracking, and it's going to create ruts. It's going to have problems. It's a trip hazard because that's if the postman comes in and walks up the approach walk, which its original intent is.
And you have to have an approach walk, correct?
You have to have an approach for people, pizza guy, things of that nature.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay.
I
Are there any other proponents or opponents that, Mr. Taylor, you have a question?
I looked research. I think 2 things, Joel. One, the other issue where we end up granting a variance to the whole subdivision, they still stayed within the garage lines.
Yeah, no, I get it. He answered my question.
Okay, and then
yeah, I understand.
The second thing is we do have to watch the precedent setting, because right now we have what we have. You could potentially have a lot of people turning their front yards into a extra driveway.
Right. No, I get that. Yeah. I was looking at, I didn't even think about the access pizza guy going up there as opposed to just concrete and the whole thing, but then you don't have the access to get to the door. So I understand.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Any other opponents or proponents? Any questions by board members for Mr. Stevens?
Yeah, I have a question for Mr. Stevens. The location, roughly, I don't know, 3 foot of the gravel. If in just stating that if that were to be graveled in, or I'm sorry, asphalted in, concreted in, what have you, and adjoining the walkway, that would still serve the purpose of both, that you still have the walkway, you have a little overflow parking, but it's not going to be too much of an, it's not going to infringe on the view obstruction, because they still have quite a, on the opposite side of the sidewalk area. That's, it's more, it was more, I guess, a statement, thinking that if it would just be concreted or asphalted in, we don't approve gravel, but it seems like maybe that could be the best of both worlds there.
Well, it would seem to me that Mr. Farkas, you could correct me if I'm wrong, that might be okay. However, you still have the encroachment on the city's right of way, because theoretically you can still only pull in to the driveway. You couldn't make that angled. Is that accurate?
Right. It's what you have. You can see from the photo, it's already destroying some of the right away. And the pole is right there. If this, you're inviting this to be there, and it would make it worse.
Yeah, you have the line of sight issue as well.
Well, you also only have 14 feet according to the drawing between the, what Karen said she'd like to see possible happen. If you look at the second or third last page where it's drawn, I'm not sure, what's the width of a car at this point?
About 7 feet, something like that. 6, 7 feet.
The typical parking stall is 9 feet wide.
Right, yeah.
That's just food for thought.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Any other questions?
I just have one, Mr. Chairman.
Certainly, Mr. Golden.
Okay. According to the notice of violation with correction order 1175.03, we're here to talk about the use of gravel instead of an approved surface. If the man would change this over to concrete, would we have to still have another request for a variance?
Mr. Chairman, I can probably answer Mr. Golden's question.
Please, Mr. Farkas.
Based on the site plan submitted, Mr. Golden, I don't know the accuracy of this. From the photos taken and the dimensions provided, the sidewalk is drawn at 3 feet. The sandstone it looks much larger than that just by eye.
4 foot.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I would say right about 4 foot. The intent is not only if we allow this position to be here and he's appealing the gravel surface, we're also compounding it with its location, the potentiality for line of sight concerns. The existing straddling of the approach walk, which would now be combined if this little section was poured into concrete, which is not approved surface because it's cracking, it can't support the weight of the vehicle. And then the detriment of the city apron, how already, since this has been allowed to have been going on, we've issued the order to please cease and desist. Just all food for thought of not just one thing, but the many things that could go wrong. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just one, then my response back would be then he should have been cited with multiple code violations, just not the one with the gravel.
This is true. He was cited for the parking on an unapproved surface. And we wanted to nip it in the bud to see if it's approved, then all the other issues go away because the board would approve it. If not approved, they still exist.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I just wanted to clarify too, the stone is gone currently. I did remove the stone and put the put back dirt.
Okay.
So that stone is not there right now. I mean, before it was basically rutted up mud anyways, but yeah, so that the stone is no longer there.
Thank
you. To get me back in compliance there. So I just want to make that clear. And also, I guess, to say I would be willing to do, like, remove the sandstone if that were approved and make that entire area concrete. That wouldn't be an issue for me.
Well, you wouldn't be able to do that because you still have to have an approachway that cannot be parked on. So
Right.
it would still have to be different. All right. Does anybody have anything else?
Yes, to respond to your thing, you're correct. If he's removed the gravel, then I don't know why we even need to continue with this case. We should just close the case and move on. And then if he wishes to come back and apply for concrete and things like that that become a zoning issue, then we need to come back at another later date. His notice wasn't given properly. That's my opinion.
I think, if I may, Mr. Chairman, I think the intent was when this was appealed, the gravel was still in place. And as the decision went on, I do believe the proponent came in and I briefly spoke with him and Mr. Green, who processed the orders. And the decision was, forget it, I'll just move the gravel, put it back to dirt. But if it went to the board and they approved it, I will put back, I thought, an approved surface.
Right.
That's a cart before the horse. So
yeah, I tend to agree with Mr. Golden. If this citizen-owned property owner was cited for the gravel, and if the gravel's gone, he may have other issues, but I don't know that there's anything for the board to even vote on. Mr. Taylor, do you have an opinion on this?
I'm looking, Daryl, what's 117503?
that's part, where'd you go?
He's probably grabbing the code.
I'm looking at the application, because the application is for the variances for under 117503. Is that surface or is that?
That's just general parking altogether, Jim. That is, I'll give you the page number here. It's page 245 if you got your codified. Parking in COS, RLD, RMD, RUD, RTH.
He was also told to remove the new gravel and install the grass or the.
Yeah, to my knowledge, I was unaware that that took place. The inspector never reported back.
Yeah, he was ordered to do that by the 14th of June.
It was one or the other, and that's where I left it. So I'm unsure. It looks like coming back from vacation, you learn a lot. So.
Well, I have no reason to doubt that Mr. Stevens did what he just told us he did.
I'll have to check with Mr. Green to see if he went out and re-inspected that, because there's
Okay.
nothing in the system, so it's probably true.
Okay. So having said that, again, I kind of tend to agree with Mr. Golden. I don't know that we need to do anything. I think this request kind of goes away.
Okay, 117503 deals with no off-street parking spaces shall be located within any required front yard in any lot except on an improved driveway leading to a side or rear yard parking space. So the variance here, I interpreted, that's what I thought, was to actually make that part of the driveway. Mr. Stevens, you can state what your application, but then it talks about the areas of a driveway in a front yard should not exceed 1/3 of the area of such yard. Again, I haven't gone out and done all these measurements, but I was under the impression he wanted to make that, based on that request for variance, the
Right.
driveway in the
And
front yard a driveway.
And that's the problem. I don't have his request. I just have, so I didn't know what he was requesting.
He requested a variance under 117503, which was to make the front yard a parking spot.
Parking, yeah, okay. Well, then, if that's the request, then I think we need to vote on.
I agree.
Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman,
Can I say something?
Sure.
I was just as far as like on how this happened with me is I got the you can't park on grass was the violation that I received. Then I put the gravel in. Then I was told, no, you cannot put gravel in. You need to remove that. That's not a proper way of doing it. You have to submit this thing, this whole site plan and do all that. So when I talked to Mr. Farkas, that was the impression I was under, at least, was that, okay, what we're having this meeting today is about whether you guys will approve the me putting a parking spot there, which is what my diagram is, and site plan and all that is
All
with
right.
it. The gravel itself, that was just no, that's not good. Get rid of the gravel, which I did, and
Sure.
you can check out if you'd like. So but that's my sequence of events.
That's fine. And if that's if that was your request, I think the chair should entertain a motion on case number 2021-15.
I apologize. I don't mean to interrupt. There's also in that same section requested the front driveway cannot exceed 25 feet across.
Right.
This would go to 24 feet.
It's 20 feet, Jim.
20 feet, and his diagram shows 24.
Okay, that would be a separate animal.
Right.
What's under 117503 in regards to creating the driveway and parking?
Right.
Okay. I think you have to vote on the driveway space.
Absolutely. So the chair will entertain a motion on case number 2021-15. I think in a roundabout way, we've gone through all the 11 factors.
Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Chair.
I got a boat to catch.
I apologize. I did receive one person that was opposed to it. I found the sticky note. Her name is Patricia Santiago.
Okay.
She is the neighbor. In short, she said she's not happy. I'll leave it at that.
Well, that means we have two.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion to deny the request for the variance 2021-15.
And I will second that.
Been moved and seconded that we deny case number 2021-15. All in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed? The ayes have it. Mr. Stevens, I think you have some marching orders. You may be able to do something, but not pursuant to this request, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Seeing that there's no other miscellaneous business and it is 4 minutes after 4 with 2 things on our agenda, this chair will entertain an adjournment till the next ensuing meeting that will be in person at City Hall.
Correct.
I motion we adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All in favor,